Good morning, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Let's unlock the tricks of the trade, get to know the brilliant minds who changed their industries and created innovations that continue to influence lives. Be inspired here on Trade Talks, My Milyonaryo. Filipino vloggers and influencers are now a dime a dozen. But our guest today is one of the pioneers of vlogging in the Philippines. But vlogging is just one of Carlo Ople's many talents. He is also an entrepreneur and author. His book, entitled Sweldo Is Not Enough, has sold over 10,000 copies. He is also the founder and chairman of Unbox Digital Media Group, a growing startup that specializes in digital publishing. We're glad to welcome to the show today, Mr. Carlo Ople. Hi, Carlo.
Hello, hi. Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here.
It's good to have you here. So many things to talk about. First of all, Unbox. It's many things: digital production / marketing, content publishing, talent management, and retail. So tell us, how did this all come about? And was this how you envisioned it when you started this?
Yeah, so I started the business in 2012 as a side hustle. So I was still working full-time. I had a day job. And it started with a website. So we wanted a technology gadget news website, which was unbox.ph. And every time after work, when I would get home, I would write articles, I would do gadget reviews, I would shoot myself with an old camera to come up with the videos. And it kind of became like I called it like my 7 to 1 thing. It's like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. I have to go to work. And then 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. I'll build this like dream business or this startup that I had in my head.
Yeah.
And then just over the years, it grew. I started hiring people. I got advertisers in. We expanded to other websites. And then I saw a problem or that content creators and YouTubers didn't know how to market themselves. Not all of them are paying their taxes properly. And that's a value I think that we were able to offer them. So that's why we put up the Unbox Creator Network, which is our talent agency, specifically tailored towards creators, YouTubers, and influencers, because that's the niche that we want to service. And then from there, we just kept on growing. We added more businesses. We added the retail side of things, which is Unbox over at Greenhills and in Cebu, which is Collectibles. We added a production company that would service brands and coming up with TikTok content, because again, of our specialization in content creation for digital and short form. Up until in 2021, where it reached the point that I could resign from my job and just do this full time. But I distinctly remember 2012, I started this because I got passed for a promotion.
Yes, I saw the post about that. That's why I invited you here. Because yes, it also, triggered something. Imagine you're already into the corporate world more than a decade, right? And then 5 years with telecom giant PLDT. Imagine saying goodbye to all of that, right? And just going on your own. So what was it that made you do it?
It was really the desire to be independent more than anything else. I realized that having like other people have a say on where I wanted to go, how I wanted to grow, where I wanted to, build stuff felt limiting. So as early as that point in my life in 2012, I decided that, hey, I want to become a full entrepreneur. But the challenges were obviously, I didn't have the capital, I didn't have the money. So my decision was, instead of getting investors initially, it was really to just bootstrap everything and use whatever salary I had throughout those years to be able to fund and build the business that it is today.
Take us back to that day when you got passed sa promotion. No? You think you deserved, and then you thought, okay, one day I'm gonna say goodbye to this. Take us back to that.
So I remember the meeting, and I was told that it wouldn't be me. I felt so sad. No, men specifically, I think, are very emotional when it comes to certain things. And part of that is their career and their ability to provide. So I was really semi-depressed. I remember going down the building, going across to a coffee shop and getting my favorite orange juice to make myself feel better. And that's when I said, one day, I won't have to have a boss. I'll be able to do things. I'll be able to build the businesses that I want to do because I don't want other people to have control over the destiny that I think that I have for myself. And it just took a lot. It took much longer than I thought, 10 years from that point, but eventually it did happen with all the hard work, with the contribution, of course, of the team that I was able to put up. And now the business is growing, and it's changed. It was from a pursuit of freedom to now having the responsibility of having a team and employees and making sure that you set them all up for success, because now they depend on you for their livelihood, right? And you want to see them get promotions, get better pay. So it's now incumbent on me and our team, or in our leadership team, to grow the business so that we can give them the careers and lives that they deserve with us.
Now you have 40 plus employees?
Yes.
Okay, but how did this start? How did you have partners? And what were the obstacles and the challenges early on?
Initially, it was just me. I had a few partners for some of the small businesses like Unbox, the website. But eventually, I think it was 2018, 2019, I had my first legit partner join, which was our CFO right now, who's like the complete opposite of me. If I'm like the
You have a very interesting dynamic. It's obvious.
we fight every day. but I like it because it's healthy conflict. So we're like yin and yang. I'm very growth-oriented, vision-oriented, strategic. He's so conservative and at the same time very analytical. And the good thing is we both have license to not get hurt with how we talk to one another and to be very open and candid. And I think that conflict, that friction is very healthy. And it allows for us to make really good decisions.
Yeah, so it works. It's really the balance that you need.
Yeah, and the maturity that was grown through our years to not get hurt. Because sometimes I think people become a little bit too emotional in business. But the good thing with us is we can literally have an intense fight, like voices elevated for like an hour, and literally after, well, we're like chill. Oh, let's have a drink and stuff like that. So that's very good for the business because it allows for the clash of ideas very well, and different kinds of ideas at that.
Glad to know it works. It's healthy. Okay, so is the Unbox concept, is it the first of its kind in the Philippines?
I think,
you have a shop in Green Hills, right?
For the retail business, it wasn't the first. There were several business models that had like cabinets that would offer collectibles and then they would rent it out. But I would like to think that we were one of the noisiest and the loudest in making sure that that kind of business, especially during the pandemic when we put it up, the idea there was to empower like collectors and budding entrepreneurs to have like a space in the mall. And then I would use our digital footprint to market their products during the pandemic, which would give them like a wider reach. So that's where it all started. But now we have a branch in Cebu. We're taking a look at launching in other places and markets.
Yeah.
So,
you said Mindanao.
Yeah, we're taking a look at that market as well.
Okay. So you create, you shape, you build, you've developed multiple businesses over the years. At what age did you make your first million?
Oh, wow. It wasn't because of businesses, it was salary. So I was, and I think people...
So what did you do with it?
The
And
first
what age?
million in the bank?
Yeah.
Like probably 24, 25, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, at the initial part of my salary, I think it was all the bonuses that would go in there and all the side hustling. So I've never been a fan of just having one income stream. So even when I was working, I'd have like several side hustles. So
You're an advocate of side hustling.
Yeah.
Okay. So what did you do with the first million that you had?
Oh, that I had? I think I bought a car. It was a goal back then, obviously. I didn't have a car, so I was riding the MRT. So just having my own car was something that I really wanted to have. But also, it's just really the practice of knowing that you can keep amassing and saving and building capital so that when opportunities would come, either a quick flip of an item that you can sell for a profit, like buy and sell. If you have the capital, you can quickly make the money. But if you don't have the capital, then you can't capitalize on the opportunity. It can be in the form of a car, it can be in the form of a collectible, a watch that you think that you can sell at a higher price. That was what kind of like my side hustle for a long time. Buying and selling sneakers, buying and selling, at a certain point, it was toys. So it was really that.
Okay, so money talk muna ha, because did you grow up with a lot of money? I know you grew up with politics around you. You're the grandson of Senator Blas Ople. How was that like? Because I think it goes into the mindset of who you are right now.
Yeah, the best thing that I got from my last name is really the training from my grandfather and my parents, not the money. We didn't. I think we grew up comfortably, but eventually everything crashed down. So there was a time where things weren't going so well, cars were being repossessed and stuff like that. So there was really a period of time wherein we didn't have a lot. We didn't have enough. And I think the training that I got from my earlier years, from both my grandfather, my parents, allowed me to be able to, kind of pivot and learn to just focus on being an entrepreneur, being entrepreneurial, saving money where I can, making money where I can. And then eventually you get through the rut. And now at least I'd like to think we're much better off than where we were from before.
So was there a point in your life that you wanted to follow in your grandfather's footsteps? Or
Oh,
you
yeah.
And then what was it that made you
passed
go
away.
into a different path?
He passed away. So he was really my idol, my grandfather. I looked up to him so much. I would watch him in the Senate. I'd have conversations with him. And I really wanted to initially become a politician. But when he passed away, it was such a big blow. Seeing your idol, your mentor go that way. And it was a dark time also in my life that time because I really didn't know what I would want to do after. But those things kind of shape you into where you feel like you end up going. And I think me going into digital, going into business, going into corporate, all worked out in the end. Because I think if ever it comes to a point where I would want to go into government, at least the heart would be much more ready. It would be really more service-oriented. So I don't see myself going to politics anytime soon. Maybe when I'm like 60, 65, 70, retired, super established, happy, and ready to just give. And I think that's when I would consider going back to that world.
So going back to Unbox, you also manage talent.
Yes.
So let's go into that for a bit. You discovered a pain point there. So
Yes.
tell us more about that.
So I've been fortunate to be on the side of the client, which is being, in companies. I was also part of an ad agency before for 5 years. And then I'm a publisher myself and a content creator. So basically, I have a unique view of what it is to be the brand that hires the creator, to be the agency that does the middle work, and to be the creator itself. And I saw there were several gaps. Number one, creators back then didn't know how to market themselves. They didn't know how to price themselves. They didn't know how to properly manage their money. And they didn't know how to really think as an entrepreneur than a creator or an influencer, because those are two different things. The moment you stop thinking that you're an influencer and you start thinking you're an entrepreneur, things really change dramatically fast because you think of different things on how to grow the business, how to grow your brand and stuff like that. So that's when we saw that we could give that value to the content creators and influencers that we would eventually manage. So we approached several creators at the start. We signed them in. Some of our biggest talents include Mary Bautista. She's one of the biggest tech YouTube creators here in the Philippines. We specialize in tech because that's kind of like where I started. So 90% I think of the top tech creators are exclusively represented by us at Unbox Creator Network. So we just got a lot of the talents, empowered them, and gave them more capabilities, taught them how to price themselves properly. And now it's one of our biggest businesses to date.
Right. So before we go into a break, your advice to somebody who may be feeling the way you did during that point in your life when you wanted to say goodbye to your corporate life?
Well, setbacks happen. Ultimately, what's important is what are the lessons and how you move forward. It's okay to be sad, but don't get stuck in that rut. Just keep going, getting back up, and keep moving forward.
Right. So more to talk about vlogging, chasing your dreams, and Carlo's collection of sneakers and toys. That's up next. Stay with us. Trade Talks, My Milyonaryo. We'll be right back.
Your newest source of news and information follows you everywhere, every day.
Wow, something to watch. Not just surprising.
On cable and free TV.
Good morning, everyone!
Online.
On Trade Talk, joining us this morning, just days to go.
On mobile.
Simulan na natin ang agenda.
This is BNC, and we are everywhere. From the filing of candidacies until the last ballot is counted, your newest trusted news source, B and C, the Bilyonaryo News Channel, will be at the forefront to guide your decisions and guard your vote. Tune in to BNC's Election 2025 special coverage.
We're still talking to Carlo Ople, tech influencer and vlogger, collector, and founder of Unbox PH. Now, content creation, you started your YouTube channel back in 2017,
Yeah.
am I correct? So, YouTube career 2017, 700,068, more than 700,000 subscribers today.
Yeah.
So, to what do you credit that growth?
Consistency and hard work, especially when I was starting out. I uploaded and edited the video every day for 2 years. So consistently every day. And I would shoot, edit by myself. So I didn't have an editor. I was doing it myself. I was editing. I learned editing and all the skills related to it. Because as you keep creating and building, you start to learn more about the algorithm, how YouTube works, what kinds of video will be able to get you more followers and stuff like that. And you just double down on what works, and you don't, you stop doing what doesn't work, right? So you're guided by what your audience wants and what the analytics show you. So that's kind of like how it grew to where it grew to this point.
So you really have to know how to keep them interested, right? So who makes up your audience today?
Right now, it's dominantly male, men, primarily because the initial content that I had was really about sneakers, and men love their shoes, right? So when it came, I remember back then when I was young, my mom gave me a pair of Jordan 5s. It's a really nice shoe. So it's still one of my favorite sneakers to date. But it wasn't something that I could pursue when we were younger because shoes were super expensive, right? And when you're
Yes.
young, you can't afford to buy Jordans on a regular basis. But when I was already older, I had the money, and I decided that I could create content around it. I went all in. I started to buy all the shoes that I wanted to buy, to the dismay of my wife, because the shoes would be all over the house,
Yes,
from the
yes.
bedroom to the living room to everywhere.
I was going to ask about that. Is
Yeah.
it a cause for argument? At one point, it became a problem, your massive collection. Sabi mo, off-cam kanina, 100.
100. At its peak, it was
Sneakers
over
at
300. At its peak. But I think my wife naman sees that I'm very entrepreneurial with anything that I do. So anything, even the shoes, it looks like, ano yung term, luho? Di ba? Feeling na luho
yeah.
lang. But I always make it a point to buy and sell, to flip, to create
You
businesses.
capitalize on the hype, you said.
And
Okay.
to build businesses on top of it, either through my YouTube channel or the shop over at Green Hills. So I think, at least I would like to think she's okay with it, because it turns into a business more than just like an expensive hobby.
I would have to ask Mitch. Okay, so you talk about sneakers, toys, tech, gaming. You go to a lot of influencer events. Is there anything about it that you hate or you don't like?
Oh, influencer events. I used to go to them a lot. Like I'd get invited like almost on a daily basis. But now I'm very picky with the events that I go to. So the last one I went to, it was a trip in Yokohama for a product launch for a laptop. So I try to pick the ones that I feel like I can really create content that adds value. So I think I've reached a point in my influencer career that I can get to pick the jobs or the trips or the events that I would want to go to, which is
It's really
both
a
good
nice
thing.
spot to be in. Yeah. Okay, so talk about your other collection. You have toys, you have trading cards.
Yeah, so
What is that like?
basically everything that I couldn't afford when I was young, now I try to get into. So I used to play Magic the Gathering, which are, collectible trading cards when I was young.
Yeah. And Pokemon. It's big now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of these things, a lot of the things when you're young, you take for granted in the way, because 10, 20 years pass by and suddenly they're ridiculously expensive. So I remember there was this He-Man toy. Do you know He-Man?
Yeah.
So there was this
And
castle.
She-Ra.
Yeah, and She-Ra. I had this
Okay.
Castle Grayskull toy that my parents bought for me. And I was so surprised when I was in the US. I saw the same toy sitting on a shelf in a vintage toy store. And it was selling for like $2,500.
Wow.
And then that's when you
You have
realize.
that exact same toy.
Well, when I was young.
Yeah.
Now I don't know where it is.
Did you
but
sell it already?
no, yeah, I lost it a long time ago.
no.
But it's
Okay.
really a lot of the old things gain value over time. And the same thing with cards, with sneakers, other types of collectibles. So yeah, that's kind of like how it goes.
Your most treasured collection today. What will you save if anything bad happens?
Oh, I have it's very sentimental. So I have a bag that I got from my grandfather. It's a Bali leather bag that he used to carry with him that I got when he passed away. So that I think is one of my most prized like items. But if you want like hype stuff in sneakers, I have a Jordan 1 Off-White Chicago, which is like a really hype sneaker.
Yeah.
That I have,
thing you will never sell.
yeah, I have several pairs in dead
okay.
stock. So yeah, that probably. It's more
Okay.
an investment more than anything else.
So you worked for Friendster at one point in your life. I'm curious what that was like. And what were the highlights of that?
So I jumped into Friendster because I wanted to go deep into digital. That was kind of like the beginning of my digital career. And going into Friendster allowed me to see like how content works, how platforms work, how algorithms work. And that informed me a lot in my, I guess in the future as I became an entrepreneur, as I became a digital marketer. So it was really a good foundation for launching a digital marketing career, which turned out to be very rewarding overall. Friendster was fun. I don't think a lot of young people know what Friendster is.
Yes,
what-
yes, explain it to them.
yeah, so it used to be, it's the first, one of the first social networking sites, and people could leave like testimonials. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
Testimonial,
yeah.
you can leave like something positive about someone on Friendster. But yeah, it was a fun era in social media history.
So if Facebook came calling, if Meta calls you, come work for us,
No.
what would you do? No.
No.
Hard no.
Hard. I think I'm really at the point where I value my independence and I feel like I owe a lot to the people who joined me in the businesses that I have now. And I owe it a lot to them to make sure that the businesses succeed so that they all succeed personally.
Right. So your most valuable lesson about vlogging, care to share that with us?
It's not just in vlogging, but I guess in life in general. It's okay to fail. I love learning from my mistakes. I think it's an important lesson that you especially need to teach the young people today. People are so afraid to fail. They feel like that failing is like the end of everything, their career, their life, their business. But I made so many mistakes in my entire life from everything, like literally everything. But it's the mindset of looking at what went wrong, what can I do better, what should I not keep doing moving forward. And if you just apply those lessons every time, you just get better every day. Be it in business, be it in vlogging, be it in your career,
Yeah.
even in your relationships with your marriage and whatever. As long as you learn from your mistakes and become better, then the mistakes and the failure is not as bad. And I think if you have that mindset, you're setting yourself up really for success.
So it's important, no? Just don't get stuck. Okay?
Yeah,
Like,
because and don't dwell on the fact that you
have to move on.
you really have to learn the lessons and just move forward.
Okay, you wrote about AI after one of your influencer events in Japan.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
you said AI is about to be pervasive, disruptive, accessible. So how should we now capitalize on that?
Well, different industries, I guess, take a look at AI in a very different way. At least for us personally, in the content creation space, it plays a very big role. We have a lot of tools that allow for us to brainstorm much faster, research much faster. You have several tools that allow for you to summarize, create content in a at a faster pace. You can just you just have to be transparent about it. For example, you're running a publishing business and you use AI sometimes to create certain types of content that you want that's super fast. And you just put a disclaimer there that the content creation was aided by artificial intelligence and whatnot. But there are so many things that AI can do that will allow for you to be more efficient. We can literally have an entire 2-hour show dedicated to AI,
Yes.
and I think we wouldn't have even enough time to be able to, scratch the top of the iceberg. But there's so many things. I mean, from ChatGPT to Gemini, there's a tool, I think it's Dectopus, that allows for you to create presentations. All you have to do is to put pictures and like the outline, and then you come up with a PowerPoint / keynote deck in like minutes. And then when you want to research on certain topics or certain, for example, expansion into different markets. You can get the information in just a couple of minutes versus doing all the research back then.
Yes, a lot of things.
You can even
do,
have
yeah.
AI analyze your financial documents and give you advice like a business consultant. Like, I mean, it's just mind-blowing how much value you can extract out of it once you start learning how to make the most out of it.
Okay, so all businesses should get on board.
Definitely,
okay.
100%.
So, like I said earlier, you're an advocate of side hustling. Any tips right now for those people who want to maybe dip their toes into it?
I touched on this earlier. It's my favorite principle. It's called the 7 to 1. I just coined it myself. So 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. you build your career. 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. you build your dreams. It doesn't mean that from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. the whole time you dedicate yourself to side hustling. But what's important is that you do something every day that allows for you to build that business.
Yeah.
It can be 30 minutes, can be 1 hour, because not everybody can afford to spend that much time. If you're young, you can. My God, what I would give to be
You don't
young
need
again.
sleep when you're young.
Yeah, well, and you don't have responsibilities,
Yes.
right? You don't have a family yet. I mean, you have all that time. Instead of spending it partying, going out, you can literally build the business of your dreams every night. And then eventually you can leave your 8 to 5 and just focus on that.
All right. Very quickly, where do you see Unbox 5 years from now?
Oh, I'd like to be the leading tech influencer agency and media publication company in Southeast Asia. That is the goal. We're expanding to Malaysia and several other markets this year and aggressively next year also. So hopefully that pans out. But the goal is to really go outside of the Philippines and capitalize on an Asian market, which I think where the growth is. And I think also that's a lesson that I want to push to all the young people watching, that the Philippines is not the world.
Yeah. There are no borders now in this digital
especially with
age,
digital.
yes.
You can build a business, a global business, and capitalize on all the digital technologies, from AI to teleconferencing and to all that, to build an international global business. And that's what we want to do.
Good luck, more
Thank you.
power. It's been fun having you here. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And that's today's show. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Stay up to date on the inspiring stories of entrepreneurs and innovators and the secrets to their success only here on Trade Talks. Stay with BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.